Hello students, let us discuss about rules or provisions of the Companies Act 2013, remuneration of directors, corporate social responsibility, corporate governance. First, let us have a discussion on the topic provisions of the Companies Act 2013 and also the remuneration of directors. The provision of Section 197 of Companies Act 2013 has provided certain determination criteria for managerial remuneration. It states that remuneration payable to the directors or other managerial person of the company is determined with relevance to the provisions of Section 197 either by articles of the company, resolutions of the company, or any other special resolution passed by the company in its general meeting. Companies can pay the remuneration to their directors or managerial persons in two different situations. When companies earning adequate profit, when a company is earning inadequate or no profit. When company earns adequate profits. The Section 1 of Part 2 of Schedule 5 of the Companies Act 2013 states the following conditions, rules or provisions regarding the remuneration of a director under the situation when the company is earning or having adequate profits. Situation 1. Payment of remuneration to ordinary or non-executive directors. The director who is neither in whole-time employment nor as managing director is called as ordinary or non-executive director. Under this situation, following points are stated for paying the remuneration to ordinary or non-executive directors. Mode of payment. Remuneration for the director who is neither in a whole-time employment and nor a managing director is paid in the following models. By the approval of central government, remuneration would be paid in the form of monthly, quarterly or annual payment. By the special resolution of the company in the form of commission. Maximum remuneration. Ordinary or non-executive directors receive their remuneration only in the form of sitting fees for attending every meeting of the board and the committee. Quantum of commission. According to Section 197(1), the remuneration paid to the ordinary or non-executive director shall exceed 1% of the net profit of the company if the company is having managing and the whole-time directors or managers. However, it is maximum of 3% in other special cases. Company's net profit should be calculated based on the provisions of the Section 198 of the Act. Excess payment. If any director receives excess payment or from the specified limit of his remuneration directly or indirectly, then he has to refund it. Situation 2. Payment of remuneration to managing or whole-time director. The directors who are in the company for whole-time employment are known as whole-time directors or managing directors. Under this situation, following points are very important. Mode of payment. Remuneration to managing or whole-time directors is paid on monthly basis, paid at a specified percentage of net profit. Maximum remuneration. Remuneration to managing or whole-time director should not exceed 5% of net profit for one director, 10% of net profit if more than one director is there in the company. Excess payment. If central government approves, directors receive 5% or 10% excess remuneration. However, According to section 197(1), the remuneration of directors of the company should not exceed 11% of net profit with reference to every financial year. When company earning inadequate or no profits, the section 2 of part 2 of schedule 5 of the Companies Act 2013 states that the following conditions, rules or provisions regarding the remuneration of directors under situations when company earning inadequate or no profits. Payment of remuneration in case of nil or no profit with the approval of central government or special resolution. When the company is earning inadequate, nil or no profits, maximum remuneration payable to the directors depends upon the effective capital which shall not exceed 5 lakh rupees per month or 60 lakhs per annum following the situation. For example, capital of the company, if it is less than 5 crores, monthly remuneration should not exceed 2,50,000. If the capital of the company is 5 crores or more but less than 100 crores, then 3,50,000 per month. 100 crore or more but less than 250 crores, 5 lakh rupees per month. 250 crores or more, 5 lakh rupees plus 0.01% of the effective capital in excess of 250 crores. Situation 2. Payment of remuneration in case of no profits and with the approval of central government or special resolution. If the capital is less than 5 crores, monthly remuneration should be 5 lakhs. If the capital is 5 crores, less than 100 crores, 7 lakhs per month. 100 crores or more but less than 250 crores, then 10 lakhs per month. 250 crores or more, 10 lakhs plus 0.02% of the effective capital in excess of 250 crores. Approval by special resolution. For providing remuneration in case of no profits, a special resolution has to be passed in the general meeting for a period of not exceeding 3 years. Approval through notice of general meeting. A notice of calling general meeting to every shareholder should be issued, and also the statement containing the information such as general information about the company and industry, information about the new director or appointee with background and post remuneration, etc. Information about the reasons of inadequate profits, information about the steps taken to improve the situation, information about the remuneration package like salary, benefits, bonus, etc. Situation 3. Payment of remuneration without approval of central government. According to section 3, schedule 5 of Companies Act 2013, the remuneration is payable by the no-profit company without the approval of central government involves certain special cases which are as follows. When the remuneration is in excess of the limits specified by section 1 or 2 is paid by other company or by the approval of shareholders in general meetings. When the company is newly incorporated or it is a sick company. When the remuneration is fixed by Board of Industrial and Financial Reconstruction and National Company Law Tribunal. This can be taken up without the approval of central government. Now, let us have a discussion on the concept of corporate social responsibility. According to Rule 2C of the Companies Rules 2014, defines the term corporate social responsibility, which means and includes but not limited to projects or programs relating to activities specified in Schedule 7, projects or programs relating to activities undertaken by the Board of Directors in pursuance of recommendations of the CSR Committee of the Board as per declared CSR policy of the company, subject to the condition that such policy will cover subjects enumerated in Schedule 7 of the Act. According to the Companies Act 2013 under Section 135, every company which fulfills any of the following criteria shall comprise a corporate social responsibility committee. It includes with every company having turnover of 1000 crore rupees, net worth of 500 crores or net profit of 5 crores during a financial year. CSR activities. Rule 4 of the Corporate Social Responsibility states that CSR and CSR activities are to be undertaken by the company as per its CSR policy. It should engage as projects or programs or activities. Under Section 8 of the Act, the board of a company may decide to undertake its CSR activities approved by the CSR committee through a registered society or a registered trust or a company established by itself or its holding or subsidiary or associate company. If such trust, society or company is not established by the company or its holding or subsidiary or associate company, then it should have a track record of at least 3 years in organizing similar programs or projects. The activities or programs which are not considered as CSR activities are under Section 135 of the Act. The CSR projects or programs or activities which are beneficial only for the employees and their families. Under Section 182, the amount that is contributed directly or indirectly to any political party. We have to be very clear. These activities are not considered as CSR activities. List of CSR activities. According to Schedule 7 of the Companies Act 2013, following activities may be included by companies in their CSR policy. Activities related to eradicating hunger, poverty and malnutrition, activities of promoting healthcare, preventive healthcare and sanitation, promoting education including special education, activities related to employment enhancing vocational skills for children, women, elders, differently abled persons, activities related to promoting gender equality, women empowerment, setting up homes and hostels for women and orphans, setting up old age homes, daycare centers and other facilities for senior citizens, activities related to measures for reducing inequalities faced by economically and socially backward groups, activities related to rural development projects, training activities to promote rural sports, nationally recognized sports, Olympic sports, etc. Activities related to environmental sustainability, ecological balance, protection of flora and fauna, animal welfare, agroforestry, maintaining quality of soil, air and water. Activities related to protection of national heritage, art and culture, including restoration of buildings and sites of historical importance, etc. Activities related to setting up public libraries, activities related to contribution to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, any other fund set up by the central government for socio-economic development. Corporate governance. Meaning of corporate governance. Standard and Poor defined corporate governance as the way in which a company organizes and manages itself to ensure that all the financial stakeholders receive their fair share of a company's earnings and assets. Corporate governance emerges from the culture and mindset of management and can be controlled only by legislation. It mainly focuses on managing the affairs in such a way that there is fairness to all shareholders. Corporate governance plays an important role in enhancing economic efficiency of a firm. A good corporate governance makes sure that the organizations or corporations consider the interest of many constituencies and the communities in which they carry out their functions. Nature of corporate governance. It defines the responsibilities and duties imposed on each director. It organizes, clarifies, make constant decision-making process. Its purpose is to implement a responsible, value-oriented management. It deals with the style, structure, process, and role of directors, members, auditors, and other personnel associated with the organization. It operates as a part of large economy and relies its operation on legal, regulatory, and institutional environment. Objectives of corporate governance: builds investors' confidence, ensures transparency in operations, provides balanced board, policies and procedures of board are reviewed, board's decisions are informed to shareholders, long-term objectives of the board. Corporate Governance in Companies Act 2013. The Corporate Governance introduced in Companies Act 2013 depicts the important areas. Independent Director. According to the Companies Act 2013, under Section 149(4), Rule 4 of Companies Rules 2014, the strength of number of independent directors for the prescribed company are as follows. Any public company with a turnover of 100 crores or more should have at least 2 directors. Any listed public company should have at least 1/3 of a total number of directors. Any public company having paid up capital of 10 crores or more should have at least 2 directors. Women Director. According to the Companies Act 2013, under Section 149, recommended that the classes of companies such as all listed companies, non-listed public companies with a paid up share capital of 100 crores or more, non-listed public companies with a paid up share capital of 300 crores or more have at least one woman director. Audit Committee. The extent to which a company can constitute audit committees has been increased substantially in the Companies Act 2013. There has been a change in the constitution of audit committee when compared to clause 49 with a minimum number of 3 independent directors. The chairperson must be able to read the financial statement and understand it properly. These rules are applicable to each non-listed companies and listed companies which have a turnover of 100 crores or more, paid up share capital of 10 crores or more, and an aggregate outstanding loan of 50 crores or more. Configuration of Nomination and Remuneration and Stakeholder Relationship Committee. The appointment of Nomination and Remuneration Committee is determined under Section 178(1) of Companies Act 2013. The committee identifies the persons who are eligible to become directors and who can be appointed in the senior management and also evaluate the directors. Internal audit. According to Companies Act 2013, under Section 138 states that internal audit is mandatory for all listed companies with a share capital of 50 crores or more. All non-listed companies with a share capital of 50 crores or more, 200 crores or more turnover in the preceding financial year, and borrowing from banks or public financial institutions with 100 crores or more. Fraud Investigation Office. According to Companies Act Section 211, Serious Fraud Investigation Office is established to investigate the frauds relating to company affairs of the company on receipt of report of registrar or inspector, or in the public interest, request from any department of central government and state government. Corporate Social Responsibility. According to the Companies Act 2013, under Section 135(1), determines every company should consist of Corporate Social Responsibility Committee with 3 or more directors with at least 1 independent director. There should be a net worth of 500 crores or more, turnover of 1,000 crores or more, or net profit of 5 crores or more of companies during any financial year. Thank you.